Hey, welcome everybody to cbuzz, the award-winning podcast presented by the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, proudly recognized as Columbus's very first business-focused podcast. We are thrilled to bring you this show in partnership with Capital University. I'm Michaela Hunt, your host and brand journalist for cbuzz, where we dive into the compelling stories of the leaders who are shaping Central Ohio's vibrant business community. Today, we are broadcasting from the Convergent Media Center at Capitol, a dynamic space where students and faculty collaborate on music, film, creative writing, and digital media projects. We're excited to share these incredible stories with you from this innovative hub. I want to welcome our guest for this episode, Corey Favor, who is Senior Director of Community Engagement at Orange Barrel Media. Corey leads a dynamic national team responsible for arts, small business, education, and nonprofit partnerships across more than 30 markets. He oversees community programming, strategic initiatives, and charitable giving efforts that advance the company's mission to pioneer landmark media and smart city technology that enrich urban life. Corey is the co-founder of Creative Control Fest, a nationally recognized platform elevating creatives of color and championing equity in the creative industries. He lends his leadership to several boards locally, including the Columbus College of Art and Design, Columbus Metropolitan Library Foundation, and more. Corey lives on the Near East Side of Columbus with his wife, Shayla. So, Corey, welcome to cbuzz. I told you as we got started, this is my jam. So I'm really excited to talk to you about all this today.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and thank you for having me on the show. Really looking forward to it.
There are some things to learn for everyone who is listening. I can guarantee that. So we're going to dive in. Orange Barrel really is transforming community engagement through small business collaboration, nonprofit, and education partnerships, and really some innovative landmark media. So tell us a little more, in a little more detail, what the company exactly does in those areas and how it's shaping the way communities, businesses, and cities engage, maybe in ways we see and in ways also that maybe we don't expect.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So Orange Barrel Media is a 22-year-old, non-conventional, I like to say, outdoor advertising company. When we were founded by our CEO, Pete Scantlin, he envisioned an outdoor advertising company that was non-traditional in the way that it partnered with cities and communities. Historically, our industry has been seen as parasitic, right? There was no intrinsic value to the cities or communities where these signs on a stick were located.
Slapping it up right on the street.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
The advertiser would make money. The sign owner would make money. But there was really no community benefit. Our mission is to improve the lives in cities through landmark media and smart city technology. So the work that I do is heavily involved in community. The way we approach our business is through a lens of art and community. And I manage all those partnerships, and I have been with the team for the past 6 years. So we're headquartered in Franklinton, so homegrown to Columbus. We also have an office in West Hollywood, California, as well as New York City in the Soho area. So
can I ask you how you decide what to put on that massive, I don't even know if I would call it a billboard, but that massive thing that is on 670? I mean, you all, that is you, right?
Yeah, that's our building. That's our building.
How do you even begin to decide what to do there?
Well, we are a business, right? So sales dictates who gets, to be displayed on the massive sign that you see on our headquarters. But we also, that's where it all started. So it's in addition to having advertising on our building, we have an amazing mural by Sarah Kane, who's a artist out of the LA area. We finished that mural. I got to manage that project.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A local production team here of local artists to help bring it to life. And that actually helped culminate our 20-year anniversary, was completing that building and being able to, sort of celebrate 20 years of existence and businessship and adding, art to the public sphere in a positive way.
So the Rogues and the Apples of the world can pay for the thing that's above the highway.
Absolutely.
But if you look more closely, you see this gorgeous mural that you're talking about, I believe.
Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like, given that you're thinking about the large business ideas and things like that mural to engage the community? What does a typical day look like for you?
Partnerships is key to any business. I've been, honored and grateful to work with cultural institutions, nonprofits, aligning our goal and making, our products visible and accessible to communities. Specifically, we operate through the lens of artistic, from our design, high aesthetic value to the way we design our signs, location placement, and how we partner, right? So we donate time to support cultural institutions, nonprofits. And then with our IKE Smart City platform, which is more business focused, we help cities be more explorable, be more engaging, provide, local services for businesses, social services for cities, and really are sort of that perfect product for cities to be smarter in the way that they engage their audiences.
I want to go a little bit more into that point because I'm curious what trends you're seeing with cities and how they want to engage their residents and visitors through public-facing media. Like, what's going on out there? What are the interests?
Yeah, cities are really competitive, right? So they want visitors to come to their cities. They want to have create experiences with their cities. IKE is the type of platform that allows us to do that, right?
So, does IKE stand for something?
Yes, I was going to get to that. It's Interactive Kiosk Experience.
Okay, and so cities want to have these kinds of things happening. That's where you were headed with this.
Exactly. So, there's a revenue share model through advertising. But within that, we are able to have a suite of applications. IKE is pretty intuitive to any smartphone device. So when you don't see advertisements and you actually touch the screen, there's a suite of applications that shows local restaurant listings. It has transportation, resources, cultural institutions, homeless shelters. So cities are able to engage residents with wayfinding. We have, free Wi-Fi, and all the information is geo-targeted, right? So unlike a Google search where it's sort of pay to play and you're at the top of the fold, with IKE, when you touch that restaurant app, you're seeing, a list of restaurants that are in close proximity to that kiosk. So you're really getting a local experience, which I think cities, gravitate to, right? They want people to spend money, to shop, to live, work, and play in those communities. And, IKE is a network that stretches, across many communities, and it has that sort of connective tissue to culture, to people, adds vibrancy. And those are the things that cities, that attract people to cities, but also encourage cities to, promote themselves in a very unique and innovative way.
So it's less about the billboard and more about the interactivity of what you can experience inside the city in that kind of example.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the best example. What better way to support local businesses than to have, their advertisements, their listings right in the right of way for visitors and pedestrians to get more information about.
Are there misconceptions that you hear about with landmark media and smart city media tech? I know has been a buzz here and there, sort of. I'm curious what you've heard and what you're like, that's not exactly right.
Yeah, I think that, it can be misleading for some folks. Certain communities are afraid of, quote unquote, Times Square, things of that nature. But when you start to think about, and you talk to us about how the importance of placemaking, the importance of connecting community, the way that we're able to showcase, local artists on our kiosk is huge, for the creative economy. From digital exhibitions that we host in cities like Atlanta and Detroit and Miami. It's a great tool for artists to be creative in that way in the digital space. And then also when you think of nonprofits. So we did an initiative around LA during the fires where we showed local support by donating time to support those nonprofits that were helping, during that time with donations and things of that nature. These are the type of platforms that allow us to amplify the great work that's already being done in the community. And it's those type of stories.
Real time.
Exactly, real time. And it's those type of stories that creates more of an understanding of how outdoor can play and to improve the lives and communities.
It really is outdoor pictured differently. And I know it continues to evolve. And I think about You guys are the broad and high display too. And I remember when that went up when I worked at Channel 4 and what an amazing, huge thing that was in like the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And it continues to showcase art, but also business. You're kind of knowing my drive downtown every morning now.
I love it.
Because I can market by that. And also, I think the IKEs by the park by the river with the glass house. Is that an IKE that's right there? How tall are they? I mean,
8 foot tall.
Okay.
Dual faced.
Both sides.
Both
okay.
sides.
Yep.
Antiviral coating.
Oh, I like that.
We work with local contractors.
Yeah.
We update the software in house, and we're in all the areas where people want to be and need to be from an advertiser standpoint, and also visitors in cities.
So, what's a great way, or maybe some advice for small businesses trying to integrate landmark media as part of their broader marketing strategy? What's kind of a great way to dip your toe in the water? What advice would you give them?
I would think that always ask questions. I think a lot of people are surprised how outdoor can improve their business. We are in the business of people, myself, and also amplification. So having a conversation with us, our sales team, on how we can help get your message out to the public, I think is the start, because the misconception is, it's too pricey. I don't see the real value in this. Also, that technology does everything for you, right? So from a marketing background, you understand the importance of a strong brand, a strong message. This should be part of another vertical within your marketing strategy. So start with a strong brand, a strong message, a strong campaign, and let's discuss within your budget how we can help amplify that message to an audience.
And you think people are surprised?
Very much so. Very much so.
We
also do a lot of work to celebrate small businesses and communities. So we do small business spotlights.
I love it.
Around the holidays, we try to feature, different small businesses. We also work with a lot of our business chambers around the cities where we have, IKEs and our inventory. So that's important. Those relationships are important.
Are there other out-of-home things that you all do? I mean, it's always outdoor, I take it, yes? Always outdoor. And so we see the IKEs, we see the larger things. Are there any other ways that you're inside the community that we may not notice?
So we are. So we're really known. What really got Orange Brown Media on the map was sort of our bespoke, super creative outdoor campaigns that we did. If you remember around the early 2000s, the Crew soccer team, we did a sign where the soccer ball was crashing into the side of the building that got national press and attention. We did a nationwide ad where paint was dripping off the side of a building into the parking lot. So our inception has always been, and Pete's vision has always been, how do we stand out from, our competitors and make our impact? So in the city of Atlanta, I use that as sort of a case study. Every sign that we have within the district has an art component. So we have signs that complement murals. We have a sign that complements a fabricated piece of artwork with Genevieve Gaignard, who's an amazing contemporary artist. So we're always thinking at a high aesthetic value to how our signs are designed, integrated into, the environments. They're not a sign on the stick. And you'll always find us in sort of urban cores and areas where we're providing, vibrancy to communities and, accessibility and making, we're part of, beautification when it comes to how cities are viewed. And that's sort of our niche and where we like to operate.
I feel like there have been trends in this show over the years. For a while, we talked about how COVID was impacting businesses post-COVID. I feel like the questions that I have now sometimes are centered around AI. And I'm curious, given AI as an example, are there particular opportunities that you see in the next generation of creative tech and media professionals now that we're in this new world? of artificial intelligence and how we create with it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Before I answer that, I did want to touch on COVID. So funny story, I started the week of COVID.
You started the week of COVID? The
week of COVID. So I was in the office for 2 or 3 days and then worked remotely. But I was able to get my feet wet, being new to the industry, by starting an initiative called OBM Supports Local, where we donated time on all of our signs across the country to small businesses, nonprofits that were struggling, to stay alive.
Oh, yeah.
So rough. That was a great way that, I learned from an education standpoint of how I could be a new leader within this organization and,
engage
sort of immerse
community.
myself and engage community.
Yeah.
So I say that because I think education is crucial to business growth in general. So with AI and technology that is innovative, that is changing the way that businesses operate, as leaders in organizations, we need to, educate ourselves on how that can be a tool to our tool belt. So we have an amazing data analytics team that is working within that space, creating opportunities, when it comes to sales or how, we site locations with our business development team. So to answer your question, just, in a roundabout way, I think it starts with education and how are we implementing AI as another tool to all the other great things that we're doing and using it strategically to grow our business.
Because, for you guys, it could be location, it could be content choice, it
Absolutely.
could be content creative. There's so many different ways it could be applied in what you all do. Nonprofits, you touched on this, a little bit, often operate with very limited resources, no matter what season of life we're in.
Right.
How does OBM create accessible opportunities for them to amplify their missions? Is it easy to get in?
Yeah, with intention. So we work with, national organizations from Ronald McDonald House to Urban League, United Way. But there's something special about working with the little guys, right? So,
right.
I'm really intentional about when I'm talking to my partners, who are the people that really need the help and how can we make the most impact? Because, a little bit goes a long way. So if we're donating time to support a food instability organization with free advertising, that is huge for them. And then in return, if they have a budget, it's not required. They come back and might want to, spend some money with us and we can help amplify, their cause or whatever they're promoting, at a higher level. But it's really about finding sort of those local boots on the ground, grassroots organizations that I think help us, that differ us from other companies in how we approach supporting nonprofits in that way. And, I think about when I started my career as a creative and an artist at CCAD, what that could do for my career, right? So not just organizations, but working with local artists to add, creativity and vibrancy to the cities through IKE platforms and, as well as our signs in those markets.
With IKE platforms, I know you and the Columbus Chamber recently launched this partnership with the IKE platform, right?
Correct, yes.
And so how is that working? And I take it it's a different way for businesses to plug in, but I'd love to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I think it's a great partnership. So when, I knew Derek previously before he got the role, I reached out to him about...
He's the best,
He is.
Let's just say that. He's the best.
And I thought there was an opportunity there, right? How do we get, because back to education, we get inquiries all the time. How do I get on these kiosks? How do we, what opportunities, who do we call? Why not start focusing, working with the business chambers who have, all of the businesses within their organization and show them a way that they can get advertised on the kiosk. We're also helping the Columbus community. So all, small business helps cities run. We found that, IKE is the perfect platform for them to promote their businesses on. And starting with the chambers, we're able to educate, we're able to help with pricing, we're able to help not only highlight the business, but also the chamber as a whole, and make sure that they're not overlooked for potential opportunity to work with us and collaborate in a way. So I think it's a win-win. We've been, engaging in a lot of different conversations on how we can continue to grow the program. But so far, since it's, I think it'll almost be a year soon, but really excited about this opportunity. Looking forward to continuing build this relationship. And what better city to start, this type of partnership in
Columbus,
than
Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
our home. So
Yeah, I feel like it's another way for businesses to utilize their membership to dip their toe into what you're doing. That's
exactly.
how you're explaining it to me.
Another incentive,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Truly. Love it. Great idea. It is becoming more like digital architecture in cities. I mean, I was talking obviously earlier about all these major moments that I see as I'm, coming downtown to work each day. How do you see it influencing, like, this type of work, influencing urban culture and commerce overall? Like, yes, you're creating this for businesses, but you're also having an impact on the environment around you. So what's your kind of vision there of how you think this is, having that kind of influence, or could have that kind of influence, just continue to grow?
I think it's another platform for cultural expression. I have an interesting partnership in the city of Houston where I work with a lot of their districts. So theater district, arts district, where they're able to celebrate the individuality in their neighborhoods, but also promote the city of Houston as a whole. And, this is a great way to do that. So cultural expression, storytelling. I've done partnerships where we've done sort of a historical look into the yesteryear, what neighborhoods look like, in the past, future and present. Technology is going in a way that allows us to kind of do that in real time. And, I think that, when it comes to how communities can utilize that, we are a great partner to do that. So
I keep thinking about what you're doing, and I'm thinking, 30 years ago, you're like the evolved PSA on TV or the evolved Yellow Pages. I mean, what you guys have taken and done really that is tangible that we can see, you've taken it to the streets in this very unique way. I mean, even though I see it all the time, I'm really having a moment of appreciation about it as you're explaining this.
I appreciate that. It's definitely a team effort. We have
how many people are on your team? You're all over the place.
So total, I'd say about, a little over 200. But in the Columbus office, probably about 80, give or take. We have business development, we have creative services, we have accounting, we have client services, we have technology, we have my team, community engagement.
Yeah, and I'm figuring
sales.
That team, the community engagement team really has to plug in to understand the cities they're going into and what they're looking for, right?
Absolutely. So we work very closely with our business development team, also our sales team. So we're sort of the middleman in the relationship for both of those teams. We lead a lot of the strategy work, and we really drive the mission of our organization for Orange Barrel Media. And
Is there something in the future that's exciting to you? I mean, you guys are doing such innovative things, but is there something there just a little bit off in the distance that really makes you excited about the work that you do?
New markets are always exciting. So as we continue to grow our footprint, building smarter in new markets is great. A lot of the artist collaborations that are coming up in, San Jose and some other markets that we just launched. Also, I think that where the industry's headed when it comes to how advertisers want to, advertise, signs are becoming way more, savvy in the way they're built, right? So force perspective, 3D, animation is huge now. You're able to create those viral moments. Those are some of the cool things that are coming down the road. We just completed a sign called The Now in West Hollywood that has, two converging digital signs that are able to create that force perspective and, host 3D animation. So that's really exciting too, sort of seeing more of those type of designs coming into play.
Are businesses, will some of them ever think about doing outdoor, like literally your building being able to be a digital billboard? What I'm thinking, I don't know if that's something. I was thinking, in New York they did the Louis Vuitton stacks but I don't think that was digital. Maybe it was, I'm not sure, but it was beautifully done. I think it came down maybe recently, but I didn't know if that was digital or not, or if businesses start to think about that, like large businesses.
There's some really cool stuff happening with, projection, like projection mapping and, advertisers playing into that space. So I think as, technology keeps evolving, the creativity does as well. And you're able to sort of, meet the moment when it comes to how can we push the envelope in the world of advertising and digital media.
I want to ask you a little bit about yourself before we go, because I always like to take a little away from the folks we interview. Of course, Corey. How does your personal leadership philosophy guide your approach to community engagement? I mean, this is a very cool job that you have, and that's always like, who's on your team? What are you up to? But like, how does what your background as an artist in CCED and your leadership, how does that come together to help you do the work that you do as senior director of all this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think my career journey is one of true creativity, of true iteration. And it's a culmination of a lot of, risks that I took, from being an art student to starting, my own design firm, to working in art direction at OSU, to technology at Ohio Health, to starting conferences. I always just stayed curious and wanted to create the city that I wanted to live in, and collaborating with, artists from all walks of life just to do cool things that I wanted to do. And where that landed, even though it didn't make sense at the time, was getting noticed to people in rooms that I wasn't in yet. And, when I was recruited for this role, I talk to a lot of students about this, so just keep doing the things that you're interested in, doing the hard things, taking chances. Because I had a conversation with a mentor. I was at a job that I was at, and I just was at a crossroads. I could have stayed there forever. And he told me to pick my trifecta. So 3 things that I enjoyed doing and aim for the middle. And community, creativity, and technology. And unbeknownst to me, Pete was looking for somebody to oversee this work. My colleague Randall Sistrunk, had reached out to me about the opportunity after having conversations with Pete, and thought I would be the perfect person for this role. And I operate really well in the gray, and, building things and just, giving my all into anything that I'm in. So this role that I'm currently in is a combination of all that. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to, lead this team. I have a great team. Shout out to Carisha Gamble, who's on my team, and help so many amazing organizations and cities. And it's just really fulfilling work. But I like to say it's a culmination of my journey, and just honored to be in the space and be able to build this arm of the business, have a great support system and a great leader. And I just continue to be curious and try things.
It's my favorite. Stay curious. So if you're listening and you have a student in your life or a young professional, maybe you're listening, these are very wise words from Corey, to realize the intersection of the 3 things that you love. And stay curious, because it could lead you to places you might never have expected.
You never know. And just be open to it, know. There was probably years ago I would hate to do a podcast because I didn't like public speaking. But
did we do okay?
I think we did pretty good, Michaela. I think we did really good.
Can you believe that we've already gone through the segment?
It seems like 10 minutes.
I know, right? And that's, I told you. I was like, it's going to go fast. Okay, I have one last question for you. We love getting tips kind of towards the end of the podcast. We want to know what you're reading, what you're watching, just kind of what you're taking in as a leader in business. It could be a podcast. It could be a show. Or maybe even involvement in a group. Is there anything that's really like lighting you up right now in terms of what you're engaged with personally or involvement outside of Orange Barrel?
Great question. I think creatively, I'm just trying to find sort of what I want to do is sort of a side quest. So I haven't sketched in a while, so I've been sort of thinking about picking up a sketchbook and just, drawing stuff around the house. Yeah, I was an illustration major.
Illustration.
And then I started a graphic design firm. And I think that, the current environment, I really am inspired by nonprofit leaders at this point, and how they are coming together in community, how artists are coming together, being resourceful, and doing a lot of positive work, against all odds. And I think that's what motivates me to continue to help and be a servant leader. And then, when I have some downtime, how do I want to be creative again? Because it never leaves you. So whether it's painting, drawing, doing some sort of exhibition or curating something, just trying to figure out what I'm going to do creatively. I mean, people want me and my business partner to bring back Creative Control Fest, so that could be a possibility. But, as I get a little older, it's just trying to find time through
to do it
life, work, and family to make it happen. So,
preach. Well, Corey, it was a privilege to talk to you. Thank you so much for being on cbuzz.
I'm honored.
Yeah, we'll be looking for all that great work out in the community that you explained, and now we'll know that Orange Barrel is a part of it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. If those listening are eager to learn more about Orange Barrel Media, you can visit www.orangebarrelmedia.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, hey, we would love it if you would take a moment to rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback, it helps others discover our show and ensures we keep delivering the stories that matter most to you. cbuzz is brought to you in collaboration with Capital University. Again, we are deeply grateful to their talented students, faculty, and staff for their invaluable support in bringing this podcast to life. I'm Michaela Hunt, your host for cbuzz, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce's premier business podcast. We can't wait to share some more inspiring stories with you in our next episode. Talk to you then.